Hey, Rainy Joe here, and welcome back to Art Pop April, the series where I'm going to be listening to multiple art pop albums throughout the month of April. As always, we are doing different genres every month, and this month, like I said, is art pop, and we are actually taking a suggestion from user YellowGina23, who commented on my Adrian Linker album Bright Future, where I gave a reaction to that. She said, "Please listen to Perfume Genius as well. Set My Heart on Fire Immediately is a favorite album of mine." Which, funnily enough, she suggested before I even announced the Art Pop April theme. It was kind of difficult for me to pick one genre for April, given the fact that not a lot of genres really start with the letter A. I was going to do ambient, but it'd be pretty hard to do. And so in my reply, I said to her, checked out the album and artist, thinking I might not be able to cover it, but without giving too much away, I think it might just fit in with the April genre I plan to cover. Thanks for the recommendation. To which she said, I am intrigued. I guess April's theme has either the word art or ambient in it. Well, you are correct, Yellow Gina, because we are doing art pop, as you have seen from the title. And this is the second in the series for the month, and we are, of course, doing the album she suggested. So thank you, Yellow Gina, for the recommendation. Let's check it out. 50 minutes and 42 seconds, 13 tracks. Set My Heart on Fire came out in 2020, and I've heard pretty decent things from it. I didn't want to go too deep into this one before giving it a listen, so this will be pretty new for me. I've never listened to a Perfume Genie's album before, so let's see what it's all about, starting with Whole Life. I like that kind of warbly effect in the background there. Very deep voice. Reminds me of Anoni, kind of. Anoni and the Johnsons. Oh, like that sort of beach-sounding guitar work. A lot of different contrasting sort of sounds on here. God, I really like that reverb effect on that guitar. Very dreamlike sort of track. It kind of matches the lyrics here. Seems like Perfume Genius speaking on some LGBTQ themes here, perhaps. Really nice dreamlike opening. I love it. Really gentle percussion as well too. Really just beautiful vocals there. What a epic sort of outro that felt like. Very dreamlike track. I liked it a lot. Kind of reminded me of thematically, not so much the LGBTQ themes, but the half of my whole life element reminded me of Radiohead's A Moon-Shaped Pool, which came out in 2016. Their track Daydreaming, I know, if you were to reverse that one sound effect that's used in that track towards the end, Tom York says half of my life, speaking on the relationship he had with his late ex-wife. Just an interesting connection there. But Describe is this one. Oh, and a heavier, crunchier intro. The production here, intentionally sort of rough. I really like the guitars on this, just the rough sound of them. Very cinematic sort of approach to the album so far. I really like the LGBTQ themes on here. Just a very current sort of album, for sure. It's nice to see that sort of reaching the mainstream. Very beautiful listen so far. Just so kind of tranquil and ethereal sounding. Oh, and it's kind of coming down now and turn into something a little bit more twisted here. It's like a darkness brooding. Leading into some ambient territory. Boy, he really lets you sink into this sort of mind frame, this ambient tone. I like the subtle whispering in the background too. Seems like it's a track about kind of like love, or I should say heartbreak, really. Maybe this long outro of ambient kind of symbolizes that desolate, lonely feeling, that very introspective element that comes with heartbreak. That's a solid track. Let's just go right into the next one, Without You. I'm really digging the kind of summery, beachy tone of the guitars on here already. I love how gentle the approach is to this album, how, you know, delicate the arrangements feel, but they're still very lush. They're very full. Picking up a little bit of a punchiness percussion. Oh, those layered vocals coming in here. So it's kind of cycling around here. Oh, what a short listen. I didn't realize it was only 2.5 minutes. Very brisk listen that one was. Gets a little punchy in the second half with those kind of drums that come in there. But again, like I said, a very well-produced album so far. I think that's the strongest element, is the production for sure. But even still, lyrically, I like the themes. It seems very cohesive, seems very conceptual in a way. Just on a heartbreak. Continuing. That Without You was pretty solid. I'll give that one a like as well. Jason, the name of the next one. The streams are progressively going up, which is usually a rare thing to see when it comes to albums. Maybe Jason was a single, given the 8 million streams on this one. Oh. He did not do the same. Even his boots were. Maybe Jason feels a little bit of shame in what he's doing. The drumming here is very clear. I like that. Like shimmery, glimmering sort of notes there. Like a track about Jason struggling with his own sexuality. Like coming to terms here with what he's doing. I think Jason's struggling to maybe break through some sort of toxic masculinity, perhaps. And his sexuality, coming to terms with it. Oh, I love the good pullbacks between these. You know, kind of coming down instrumental. Almost feels like we're climbing up and then letting out a relaxation. Oh, kind of a baroque pop element as well to this album. Kind of the orchestral backdrop. This higher pitched vocal that he sings in is quite clean. It sounds quite nice. That final track there, final line. Not too sure what that meant. Maybe a betrayal. I don't know. But carrying on, we'll go on to Leave. I thought Jason was a very enveloping track. 3 minutes. The baroque pop elements, that orchestral sort of backdrop coming in, really nice. I love baroque pop, big baroque pop fan. One of my favorite albums of all time is Scott 4 from Scott Walker. So again, baroque pop, always a welcome listen from me. Let's go on to Leave here. 5 tracks in. So far, it's been a very solid LP, very luscious production. Strong themes of sexuality throughout. There's the album title drop. That harp. Such a dreamlike focus to this album. I'm loving it. Perhaps some sort of active sex going on here. Could be wrong. At 3 minutes, the pacing, not just this track, but all of the tracks have been pretty spectacular. They fly by. It's getting much fuller in this last 30 seconds. Really swelling up. Pretty short track. I mean, it's 3 minutes, but it felt short. Maybe I expected more. I kind of wish it did grow and develop beyond where it went. However, it was still a pretty nice track overall. I like the harps. I like the very sparse arrangement of it. And the delicate lyrics as well. But certainly not as fully fleshed out as I feel like it could have been. But maybe that's just me. No, going on to On the Floor. 16.6 million streams on this one. I think it's the biggest track on the album. And perhaps the biggest of his releases? Nope. I mean, it's up there. It's in his top 5, it seems, on Spotify. So anyway, carrying on. On the Floor is this one. Oh. Certainly a lot more upbeat than what we've heard so far. Kind of a funkiness to this one. Certainly a lot more punchy and accessible and upbeat. But I'm not sure if I like it as much as some of the other tracks here. Very sexually charged track, though. Like many of these tracks seem to be. Very sunny sort of sound to this album, despite the more depressing lyricism. Oh, I like the way he pronounced that safe. It's almost like a hesitation in it. I think the focus of this track is, despite falling in love here, having that new relationship energy, there's a sense of doubt in his love. He's wondering how long it'll last. He has that fear I think everybody gets when entering a pretty solid relationship of, you know, when's the time limit run out. Those vocals. Buttery smooth. That descent. Scratch what I said. This is a very solid track. It's very diverse, which I'm liking. Very funky guitar work on this one. I think it's that bass line. Solid outro as it sort of broke down there. Solid track, really, overall. I changed my mind about halfway through. I realized that it is a very strong track. Really grows and develops and diversifies itself quite a bit. Instrumentally speaking, production-wise. Lyrically, a track I would gather about falling in love and the fear that comes with it, from what I'm gathering. Your body changes everything as this one. That synth or string of some sort is very mutilated. Oh, I love that, you know, watery, plunky sort of sound. The synths on this album have been very strong in capturing that sort of dreamlike sound that I think is very strong element to the LP. Also reminds me of Low Roar. I believe that's the name of the band, if I'm not mistaken. But their sort of atmosphere and ethos within their music, similar. Really love the sort of profession of love throughout this album. It's so vulnerable, so open, and comes across very sincere as well. This instrumental has a very crunchy sound to it too. The distortion is solid. Ooh, I love that drum there in the background, that click, 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 and then splash sound. A tennis sound there. Your Body Changes Everything, a pretty solid track. I think one that might take some more listens for me to fully appreciate, but still a very, cohesive sort of sound is what I'm gathering here. Moonbend is the name of the next one. 5 minutes, 20 seconds. I believe that's the longest track on here. It would seem so. And cool name, Moonbend. Anyway, let's go on to it. Very ambient tone as well to this album that a lot of the tracks sort of take their time with, which I like. I'm a big ambient fan. Hence the Eno. Very airy instrumental. Nice poetic lyricism of this one and most of the tracks. Very honest. Wow. Those vocals are layered. I can feel the shine. I would say I'm not sure how I feel about this one. I think the instrumental's really taking its time to develop here. At 2.5 minutes, it's almost too delicate, maybe, so far. I like that flute in the background there. The guitar work is nice, but and the layered vocals again are also nice, but almost too sparse of an arrangement, I fear. Long track, 5 minutes 21 seconds, and for what it is, a fairly sparse arrangement, and I could see one many would complain about, given the fact that it's not the most full track. Feels like 5 minutes, I'll say that. Just a touch, this one here. Kind of reminds me of Radiohead in a lot of ways, actually. The somatic approach, that slow building sort of element. Nice deep bass line as well. The second half of this LP so far is a lot slower so far. I wonder if that's an intentional choice. Still loving the production. I'm loving certain elements, such as that guitar that just came in there. But I do find the second half certainly takes its time a lot more. Hopefully that doesn't continue too strongly throughout the rest of the tracks, because I think that could affect the overall pacing of the album. Maybe wedged in these more up-tempo tracks would have been a bit cleaner. But here's nothing at all. It does feel a little bit more up-tempo for sure. I like that deep buried sound that's coming to the forefront here. It's like an interruption. Oh, I like this passage. I believe it's a reference to another track, but I'm forgetting the name of the song that has the same sort of mantra. Oh, I love this airy sort of instrumental there. It's so lighthearted. weird sort of maniacal laugh there. I do like this one much more than some of the last couple tracks we've heard. It's a little bit more instantly gratifying. Another reference to ribbons in the track list here. Really coming all together here, getting very lush and full and kind of noisy. Really like all these elements that just kind of collided. Very solid outro here. Would have worked great for a last track. So, I mean, hopefully, Borough Light can deliver on what this final minute delivered on. One More Try is the name of the next one here. 3 minutes. It does remind me a lot of Anoni and the Johnsons, especially the vocals. Almost like inspired by Scott Walker as well, with those baroque pop elements and that vocal. Certainly feels like a concept album of some sort, focused on this homosexual relationship and the dream state that he was in that's been, I guess, shattered. There's a glimmery wind chime effect there. A nice touch. Can't place it, but it's got a very 60s sort of pop sound to it. It could just be that baroque pop element, but kind of reminds me of Simon and Garfunkel in a way. Maybe even a touch of the Beach Boys. But that could just be that summery effect that takes place on a lot of these tracks. I like this one too. Very solid track. Nice and short too, very brisk feeling. I think the album cover really represents the vulnerability as well within the tracks here, especially the lyricism. Maybe that's the point. Going into Some Dream. Here's another Dream reference. Lots of Dream lines. Oh, that like crushing bass there. Like an impending doom. Oh, I like this groove. I was just about to say, I'm really hoping this picks up, and there's that pickup sound. I love how rough a lot of the instruments are on this, while at the same time, a very lush production on top. Those keys too, very high pitched. Very pained sounding. What an elevated instrumental, very ethereal. God, it's so full, it's so dynamic. Now this would be a closer. I'm really curious, how is this going to close out with Borrowed Light? Will it live up to the soundscapes of Some Dream and Nothing at All? Or was it One More Try that had that sound? I can't remember, but either way, very epic and enveloping sound. Borrowed Light, will it continue that? Or is it going to have a little bit of a whimper? Let's see how this album closes out. Very delicate, this one. We're going out with a somber ending, it would seem. Again, super ambient, this track is. A lot of the LP, but I like it. It's a nice back and forth. Oh, those strings elevated for a moment only to turn twisted and sour. Very depressing sort of lyricism too. I think the narrator is hoping for some sort of, I guess, life lesson from the pain here, but instead he's not gaining any lesson. He's not gaining any knowledge from this painful time in his life. And it seems from those final two lines, it's just a bitter, hard truth. Maybe there's no lesson to be learned. At least that's what I'm gathering here. I do like this as a closing track, though. Interesting choice. Good pacing, too, of that one. I thought that was a solid finish. I like the fact that, you know what, it worked. Going the more somber route to close out the album. Because a lot of this album is very luscious and has very, you know, baroque pop inspired full instrumentals. And some of these tracks really do develop into a more cinematic tone, which I think he could have easily done for a final track. And instead, taken the route of the more delicate nature. It's certainly an interesting and bold artistic choice, because I mean you get that peak on Some Dream, and Borrowed Light is just that come down, it would seem. But Set My Heart on Fire immediately. 13 tracks, 50 minutes, and I gotta say, a very solid, beautifully poetic, and cinematic, yet at sometimes ambient listen. It's just very diverse in its instrumentation, and the production is really one of the greatest elements of this thing, because it is just so incredibly luscious and just dynamic, like I said. And I like a lot of the themes too. It does like to carry on this concept of these homosexual undertones and the very gay themes, of course, of I think coming to terms with the sexuality in some of these tracks, such as Jason, as well as having your heart broken, and the constant pain of love. I'm trying to find the words here, but I'm trying to say is a great track, a great album that certainly captures heartbreak, love, and someone's journey in their sexuality. Beautiful LP. So thank you, Yellow Gina. A great listen through and through. I hope you enjoyed this one if you're watching, Yellow Gina. And if you're watching and you're not Yellow Gina, if you're just some random, user, maybe you're new to the channel, maybe you are a returning viewer, thank you as well. I love, all the attention and just support my videos have been getting. Really means a lot that people seem to be enjoying, what I'm doing here, just having fun. And I hope that's really the key takeaway from these, is that we're just here to have a good time. So if you want to have a good time, go ahead and like and subscribe to follow along in more reactions that I'm going to do. Doing more art pop albums. So if you have an art pop album you'd like to suggest, throw it down in the comment section below. I will add it to my list, and I will, of course, try to check it out if I am able. There are a lot of art pop albums that I want to cover, and, a month is only so long. So we'll see what we can do. As always, subscribe if you want, like the video if you'd like, and my name is Randy Joe, and I'm signing off.